The state of Texas puts in billions of dollars every year for childcare and early childhood programs. But a new report looks into the effects of having the oversight of all of those divided among at least 5 state agencies. Here to talk more about the State of Childcare in Texas report is Charles Miller. He is the Director of Healthcare and Economic Mobility Policy for the nonprofit Texas 2036. Charles, welcome to our show. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Always happy to chat with y'all.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you highlight how Texas does not have just one single entity accountable for whether the child care system works here in the state. So how does the state currently break down that responsibility?
That's right. So there's a number of different agencies that are involved in this process, and each of them has kind of their own unique flavor to it. So, for example, the Health and Human Services Commission is responsible for safety licensing. The Texas Education Agency oversees pre-kindergarten programs. The Texas Workforce Commission actually, through its local workforce development boards, handles the federal subsidy dollars that go to help pay for subsidized childcare, and also administers a quality rating program that goes through. And each of these agencies is doing a good job in the task that they've been tasked with, but because they don't talk to each other and because they sometimes have conflicting goals, it's hard for any one person or any one agency to have a holistic overview of the whole process and evaluate and make the trade-offs necessary to get the good outcomes we need.
Yeah, I want to focus more on that right now. So what do you want people to understand about the consequences that this kind of fragmented situation creates for not only Texas families, but also child care providers out there?
Right, so Texas families look at this system, and there are a number of different programs that they might need to go through or look at if they're trying to find care for their kids. It can be really confusing. Do you need to go through Texas Education Agency and figure out a pre-K program? Are you trying to go through the Texas Workforce Commission to check on the quality ratings for your program or to see if you're eligible for subsidized care that way? Are you going through the comptroller's office to take advantage of the new Texas Education Freedom Account offerings that are out there? There's a lot for a parent to be involved in to try to figure out what to look at. And the same thing is true when we're talking about the child care providers themselves. They are overseen and regulated by a number of different agencies. Those licensing officials and then quality inspection agents can sometimes actually have different interpretations and conflicting interpretations of the appropriate thing that they need to be doing, which can really create struggles for child care providers who are just trying to provide the care that families need.
You touched on it there, but even though there are quite a few programs to help some families get matched with child care here in the state, what does your report show about the financial burden that finding a provider can have on parents out there?
So financial burden is really difficult for families around the state. We see that families around the state are struggling with being able to find care that they can afford and meet their needs. Now, collectively, that also has a really big economic burden on the state as a whole, to the tune of about $7.8 billion of lost economic opportunity as a result of that. So this does have that impact at both the individual family level, but also at the collective statewide level.
Now, there are some solutions that you all have been looking at and are talking about right now through this report, but it also notes that next year presents a real window to perhaps reform the state's child care system. So what do you mean by that exactly?
We've got a really unique opportunity right now. The governor has appointed a task force to look at this issue, and they're meeting later this month to really come to some conclusions about how child care should be governed, which agency should be in charge, what they should be looking at. We also have the unique opportunity where a couple of agencies in the state, HHSC and the Texas Workforce Commission, are undergoing what's called the sunset process. And that's a process that every agency has to go through about every 12 years. And it's an opportunity for the state to really look at how it is regulating, how it is governing certain issues in a holistic process. The combination of those two things happening in the same cycle, which we have right now, is a really great opportunity for the state to take a look at doing something bold and taking major reforms that could benefit the 2.4 million children between the ages of 0 and 5.
Well, additionally, next year will be the next regular legislative session, so lawmakers could potentially put forward some solutions to address some of these things as well. Are there perhaps any policy solutions that you all think the state should tackle and maybe look into further?
So we think that the state should unify that governance, and the state should also define a clear objective for when it's spending money on this task. Is when the state spends money on early childhood, is it trying primarily to promote early educational outcomes, or is the state trying primarily to enable workforce development and enable parents to work? Now, these two don't have to be conflicting all the time, but there are trade-offs that come into play here. And when the state's spending that money, it should be spending it towards a unified purpose and making sure that it's able to measure the outcomes that it gets. Measuring those outcomes becomes a lot easier when we have integrated data systems that result from that unified governance we've been talking about.
Will be fascinating to see what comes up during next year's session. We'll have to have you back then at that time. But for now, Charles Miller with Texas 2036, thanks again for talking with us this afternoon.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.